What's up, guys? We're back. We got a shorter video. It's from Canal. It's I used to say I thought it was an Indian channel, but somebody told me it was not. But I don't know. Anyways, it says U.S. military volunteers to fight. U.S. military volunteers to fight in Ukraine. Russians and Americans fight in the hottest points. So it's it talks about foreigners. So I wanted to watch it and kind of comment and see the information or statistics that they have on it. A couple of things real quick. Our Discord is still going very, very strong. It's where we post all of our uncensored, unedited content that a bunch of the people in the chat find, a bunch of our members, they find and post it in there. And it's some of it is hard to watch, man. I'll be honest. But if you're interested in being a part of the Discord community, definitely check out the link in the description below. We've got all kinds of different channels there: gaming channels, movie channels, mental health stuff. We got Azov recruiters in there that answer questions. I'm always in there, so check it out. Also, Azov's International Battalion application will be linked below. The battalion that I'm in, that Uno is, Reg. So definitely check out those links. Interesting, before we jump into this, pretty interesting that Russia's now flying drones into Poland, huh? I'm sure they'll play it off as an accident. And even if it was an accident, who fucking cares? That's a major breach of international law and should be punished. So I can't wait to see what the Western countries are not going to do, because we all know they're going to do jack shit about it. Let's see what's up here.
The flow of American volunteers serving decreased, but has never stopped after the first wave, which began after the full-scale Russian invasion in 2022. Independent estimates of the number of Americans who will voluntarily join the Ukrainian armed forces from 2022 vary significantly, from more than 1,000 to several thousand fighters. At the same time, the Ukrainian side does not make such figures public. This is reported by the New York Times. Side does not make.
Looks like my boy Waldo. Also, these are our UAR-15s. Interesting.
Such figures public. This is reported by the New York Times. The publication noted that over time,
What is Edelweiss? It sounds like, for one, a German beer. This dude's got a Swedish flag. These guys all, a Finnish flag. These guys all have Finnish flags on their shoulders.
Position of American volunteers has changed.
Oh, the color was fucked up. That's a Ukrainian flag. My bad.
Now the majority are people without military experience, older people, or U.S. veterans who want to revive their military careers. Interviews with American recruits, the aid workers who help them, and their Ukrainian commanders reveal a range of motivations. Some come seeking purpose and opportunity that they feel are missing from dead-end jobs back home. Resentment at Russian aggression remains a major motivator, while some soldiers seek a way to leave a troubled life behind. Others want a second chance at a military career and a chance to test themselves in combat, the report says. At the same time, some soldiers said they plan to stay in Ukraine after the war ends and hope to find opportunities that are not available in the United States. The NYT adds that regardless of the reasons, joining the Ukrainian armed forces turned the conflict into a sharp, defining test for American volunteers. Many of them survived dangerous situations, were seriously wounded, lost comrades, and spent long periods in trenches and ruined cities. According to journalists, Ukraine does not have as many soldiers as Russia, so it faces problems with mobilization, which is why it happily accepts foreign volunteers. Such soldiers serve in regular army units or in one of two international legions. Their pay is the same as that of Ukrainian fighters, about $1,000 per month, and combat allowances, which can add about $3,000 per month. Some people come to Ukraine with the motive of fighting for freedom, for what...
That's accurate, to my knowledge. Also, I wonder what they're referring to when they say one of two different international fighting groups.
Is right. Others want to make money or run from the law, said Nikolai Lavrenyuk, the Ukrainian commander of a platoon of international soldiers that includes Americans. The commander said he had seen some American citizens arrive with poor dental health as well as drug and legal issues. He said one American soldier was wanted in his country for smuggling drugs across the Mexican border. But before that became known and he was arrested, Lavrenyuk said he fought well. The defense attorney added that the American veterans are valued in the Ukrainian armed forces because they are...
All right, dude, this is crazy. We're getting footage from Azov 3AB. This is Russian. These are Russians. I saw some Russians earlier, too. What's going on here?
Are usually better trained than veterans of the armed forces of other countries. It's great that they are in our ranks, he assured.
SSO. This is something I wanted to mention, actually, because it's something I've been running into a lot, and it makes me grateful for you guys coming to my channel to get some of your information, especially combat footage and shit, because there's a lot of bullshit on the internet. So I spend a lot of time and I go through videos and I click on stuff and I watch a couple minutes to see if it's cool, if it's interesting to me, if I think it's interesting, it'll be interesting to you guys. And there's just dog shit. There's a lot of bullshit videos. And so, for example, I saw one that was like, it said something about, this is an example, it was like Hartia, the 13th Brigade of National Guard combat footage. And it was like 20 minutes of Azov combat footage and 3rd Assault Brigade combat footage. Never saw Hartia once. And this video has like almost 1 million views. And I'm like, these people really have no fucking idea. And I don't blame people for not knowing their brigades in Ukraine and their specific fighting forces and shit like that. Of course, that's for people like me to know, people like you to know. Not your average person, but these people are getting away with a lot of bullshit. And a lot of it's just like AI edited together, like I think this video is. And they're just getting so many views and pumping around this. I guess it's not that big of a deal. It's like, oh, so what? They showed Azov and 3rd Assault Brigade fighting instead of Hartia. But for people who actually care about this conflict and want to know what's up, that's very dishonest. Like that whole 30-minute video doesn't apply to anything happening here in Ukraine because it's not who they're saying is fighting. So I see a lot of this stuff. So I'm grateful you guys come here for your information because I really do my due diligence when I do different videos and I check on the units and make sure this was a real conflict and make sure this isn't like some Afghan footage from Afghanistan or some shit, you know?
Footage of the Ukrainian army's operation in the city of Arwelsk, Kursk region of Russia, has been released. As can be seen from the footage shared on Telegram channels, Ukrainian aerial reconnaissance aircraft struck military equipment of the occupying Russian army, trucks carrying military personnel and ammunition, as well as passenger cars in which Russian soldiers were moving near the city with kamikaze drones. As a result,
and then they'll do this thing where they take news headlines, right? And they take news headlines and they will just put random Ukrainian footage in the back, like Ukraine war footage in the back that has nothing to do with it. So they'll be like, you know, or just random footage in general. They'll be like, massive attack in Kyiv last night, and they show like the U.S. bombing Iraq. I'm like, what? And then it's mind-boggling to me, but so many people eat that shit up. They're like, oh my God, I hope the people of Ukraine or of Kyiv are okay. I'm like, dude, that was a mosque that just exploded. The fuck are you talking about? Anyways, let's watch some real fucking shit. This is Sibdiv. This is the deadliest weapon in Ukraine. I've been wanting to watch this, so let's watch this instead of that other video.
What you're watching right now is the most lethal weapon on the battlefield of Ukraine. 75% of casualties are produced by this, but because it's not GoPro footage of the zero line, people don't want to watch it or learn about it. Well, this is a Mavic 3T. This is the job that I had in Ukraine with the 130th TDF, which is where this footage is coming from. We're watching Ivanivska, which is the village that you're watching right now, that's right outside of Bakhmut. And there's one road that connects Ivanivska with Bakhmut, which you can see here. So the enemy comes from Bakhmut, and they flood the area with infantry, but it's slowly by two-man teams. And then when they finally amount enough forces over a couple months, with enough artillery preparation on a target, they move in to gain the ground. They can't do it just by two guys. Most of the time, though, they're killed en route. And that is our main job as a Mavic pilot, to support the infantry holding the line by attriting the Russian reinforcements, making the long trek to the zero line. This is the background behind keeping the front line stable against a much larger adversary. Usually right when they kick it off, coming from Bakhmut to Ivanivska along that road, we catch them with flashlights on, we catch them carrying diesel to go and power the jammers, and that's when we start eliminating them. Most of the time, they are killed en route and even run away, but other times...
You can tell right here, this is a Kazivac. 4 guys carrying a stretcher. This is prime target right here.
They succeed despite tremendous casualties. We're talking about 50%. Now, they like to move during nighttime mostly, but usually dawn and dusk. That's when us drone operators switch to a different type of drone, or we're done with our 12-hour shift, so they like to move during that time. And at nighttime, of course, the drones, like us, can still find them with thermal imaging, but they can't be seen by everybody and their mother as they make movements. Now, one of the problems is that they don't have night vision equipped the normal infantry, so they struggle to conduct large-scale assaults. And the infantry in Ukraine on both sides are mostly just placekeepers, as a scared man in the way of any assault that might happen. Most of the killing is done by artillery and drones, and if the infantry survives that back-and-forth bombardment until there's a squad level at least to make an assault, they can finally move up and take what's left of the position ahead of them. Oftentimes, those infantrymen are there for a month or two, too far forward to safely move back, injured, starving, eating rats, and drinking their own piss, or a large enough force comes in and pushes with you, like I mentioned before. Like I said, about 50% don't even make it to the most forward position without being hit or killed. Now, as for the recon job, which you're watching us do right now, it begins with us setting out the drone with a new battery, about 2 kilometers, dead reckoning to the area just outside of their jammer zone, which is in the middle of Ivanivska. And then we'll hold a place to survey one sector of the battlefield, as the commander gives us his intent, but other times he'll have us rozvika, which means reconnaissance, and we'll be zooming in on different MSRs, different buildings that we know that are occupied. We'll zoom in through roofs. We'll try and find the enemy actively. But it all depends on the tasking. Most of the night, the movement by the Russians is limited to the very front line, the very zero line, or the very rear entering Bakhmut. So if the AO is clear, we'll be told to rozvika, like I said, which will scan for targets rather than have a perfect view of the battlefield, with overlapping surveillance, showing the commanders in the talk the layout of the front line. Anyway, once we're given that rozvika command, we'll start testing the waters. We scan from MSR to MSR, we'll scan areas that we know that they're hiding in the buildings and the basements underneath, and we'll even push up further into the village to see if their jammers are working. And oftentimes, most of the time they're not, because they ran out of batteries and gasoline long ago. But other times, the Russians will surprise us by turning on the jammer randomly, right when we're over Ivanivska, possibly for a movement or just random, and we'll get caught in the middle of that jamming bubble, and we'll lose connections for minutes. Sometimes we'll lose the drone and it'll crash into the field to the right of us, or other times we'll regain connection 2 minutes later and we'll have to find our way back because our battery's almost dead. But it's almost always worth the risk to look straight down on the buildings to find movement through the holes in the ceilings. This is a very typical frontline village in Ukraine, by the way. Nothing but the steel structures and a couple bricks cemented to them standing. But it doesn't matter so much. The Russians don't move out from the basements until a plan is set. A maximum 2-minute run into some shelter ahead of them is what they'll do. They're not gonna be doing large assaults 2 hours in the open. You're gonna die. Now the question you might ask is, why not bomb every standing structure? Why not send FPV into every single basement? Well, first of all, they put up blankets in front of the shelters just like us, and they sandbag the entrance so that even if a mortar lands close to it, the shrapnel will not enter the blindage. So why not larger bombs? Well, we do. Large drone teams like the Baba Yagas come over and bomb targets, but it's mostly done at the very zero line, where there's a lot of action. And whenever that zero line Russian position is eliminated, a couple more from the second line, which we are watching as Mavic pilots usually, come in and replace them to keep the pressure on. It's all about pressure and momentum. The only way to finish the war is to push. so both sides still need infantry. And also, the jammers do work. They'll work usually, and they can take out very expensive large drones, which are not handed out like candy like a lot of people think. You have to remember, this is one section of the front line out of thousands, and this is one night out of thousands of nights that the Ukrainian war has been going on. We have to have enough equipment and logistics to keep us going the next day, so we can't be sacrificing everything for a couple kills. This is just one night, and during that night, there's plenty of ways and time to knock out drones. So use cheap FPVs, sure, but FPV teams are one of the most cumbersome units that you can have on the front line. They need like 10 bags at least, full of batteries and drones and munitions and their own personal kit and water and food. And most of that stuff is only used once. And if you're not careful, you can go through half of your supplies of FPVs in a single night when you're supposed to be out there for 5. And the other problem is line of sight. You have to have line of sight in order to get a direct hit on a bunker. The best way to do that is to be closer to the front line. Now, as you've heard me say before, the front line is not like this anymore. We're 2 kilometers away from the Russians and we survey and bomb them. Now it is separated by 10 kilometers. The Mavic teams are pushed back 6-7 kilometers. FPV teams similar or even 10 kilometers. If you get closer, you're gonna be stuck there for a month or 2 without drones. So although it might be more effective for your hits, it's only for a couple days and then you can lose a couple FPV operators along the way. So that's all I wanted to say. I want to show you guys the most lethal weapon on the battlefield, a Chinese Mavic drone. Still today, that is the most lethal. FPV teams cannot operate without this Mavic. Artillery cannot operate without a Mavic. We do not use binoculars anymore. We have TRPs, and the surveillance drones seen by the commanders will tell them where the enemy is at the specific moment, so they can lob a couple mortar rounds that way. Or sometimes those Mavic teams are dropping VOGs, and they'll drop 1 or 2 at a time, and get multiple kills a night, and that adds up very quickly in one single deployment. One of our guys had over 80 confirmed killed or wounded in just that section of the front line alone during one single deployment. And that is one team, one dude who's the pilot. It's insane. So anyway, I hope you guys learned something. This is one of the more boring jobs you can have in the battlefield, but for myself, I loved it. I saw the importance of it, and I felt like I was really having an impact. Plus, I get to see the battlefield without being too close. I hope you guys learned something. I'm sure you guys did. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.
Sweet. Follow SibDiv, man. He's the GOAT. So earlier on, like 2022, 2023, the number one cause of death and casualties, KIAs, and casualties. You see my my water on my counter. The number one cause of KIA and wounded was artillery and mortars. Like SibDiv said, it is completely changed, and now 70%, and depending on what AO you're in, it could be much higher. One of the last AOs I was in, it was almost a 90% KIA casualty rate was from drones, almost 90. So it's just insane. It's a drone war, and unfortunately, there's still infantry that's needed for this. And these poor souls, these poor souls and brave souls and scared souls are so important, but their life expectancy goes down the more significantly, the more drones that are in the air. Something else that he said, something I've noticed personally is a lot of your more experienced guys here in Ukraine, people who came and joined the Legion or a GER team, and they got out of that, like they got into some hot shit, they got out of that, then they'll come back and they will join a drone team. For this reason SibDiv talks about right here, they understand the importance of drones. You can see the whole battlefield. You're not right there getting shelled and shit on like your average infantryman, like they already probably have, in their past job or their past unit. The drone pilots and operators and technicians is a very sought after position here in Ukraine, and there's always more needed. I get a lot of questions in my email and in our Discord about, hey, do you guys still need drone pilots? Yes, always, dude, always. And one thing about drone pilots, man, and I'm sure SibDiv could attest to this, is if the Russians find out your location and that you are an FPV or Mavic team, they will waste no expense of eliminating you and your team. We've seen them send cabs to annihilate single drone teams. Like, Russia knows the importance of drone teams as well. So when they're able to find one, they will throw everything they have at it. So drone operators are in absolutely in a lot of danger as well. We had one, I believe last week, move into a position and lost his foot because the Russians had recently drone dropped some mines on their infill route. Always danger, no matter what job, but there are some with maybe a little bit less probability of dying. And if you're going to compare drone team to an assault team or an infantry unit, yes, the drone team has better chances of survival for sure. So that's cool, man. Like I said, check out CivDiv. Also, jump in our Discord. Links down below. If you're interested in coming to Azov, the application links below as well. This is for anybody who's on their way out to Ukraine. Maybe you're already in Ukraine. There's a lot of foreigners still here in the country that are just waiting around because they don't have a unit. Sorry, the wind blew open a window and my cat was terrified. There's a lot of foreigners here in this country who are just waiting around looking for a good unit. So if you know one of these guys, tell them, hey, go talk to Vegas, or go check out International Battalion. Also, something crazy. I had the cousin of Ethan from the Chosen Company video, the last video we watched. The cousin of Ethan reached out, and also cousin of brother of, gosh, I don't remember, but like family members of these fallen heroes that we saw in the video. So that is so cool to me, and I'm talking with these guys, and I want to kind of get their story, and I really appreciate you guys reaching out. If you guys know or if you're one of these people, and you feel like it's weird to hit me up, don't hit me up. Email me, jump in the Discord, whatever. Also, anybody who may have connects with JD Vance's, I think he's a cousin, Nate Vance, I believe, who fought here in Ukraine. He was in Da Vinci's Wolves, I believe. Please let me get in touch with this guy. I'm very interested in his story. I think him and I would have a lot to talk about, and I'd love to get him even just on a video interview for our channel. Whew, sorry for all the yapping. I love you guys. See you in the next video.